The fork shook between my fingers as my sister's voice sliced through the holiday chatter. It's just such a shame when people never really live up to their potential, Olivia remarked, her gaze sliding toward me with that rehearsed sympathy she wore so well. Catherine, maybe you should ask Mr. Townsend about work in the mailroom. At least that's a legitimate company. Mr. Townsend, her boss, and tonight's honored guest, laughed right on cue, red wine swirling dangerously in his crystal glass. Their shared amusement rang louder in my head as heat pounded in my ears. My chest tightened when I caught the quick glance my parents exchanged. The same one they'd been trading for 17 years, ever since I walked away from the future they'd chosen for me. My phone buzzed silently against my leg. The fourth urgent message from the board, about tomorrow's acquisition. The one that could make or break Townsend's career. The one waiting for nothing but my signature. My name is Catherine. I'm 32 years old, and this is the night I stopped letting my family measure me only by my failures. I hadn't intended to reveal anything over Christmas dinner. For 5 years, I'd kept up the carefully crafted disguise. The modest teaching gig, the shabby apartment, the beat-up Honda, all while quietly building Summit Enterprises into a global giant, one that had already acquired Townsend's firm last quarter, finalizing the takeover more than a year ago. The garage is ready for you, Kathy. My mother's voice broke into my thoughts. We put a space heater out there since Amanda needs the guest room. She's pregnant, you know. As if carrying a child automatically outweighed basic courtesy. The table hushed, everyone pretending not to listen while hanging on every word. This was their yearly tradition, watching me get put in my place. The garage, I repeated evenly, though the December chill seeped through the walls. Don't be melodramatic, my mother scolded, sliding the cranberry sauce past me without making eye contact. There's a heater, and it's not as though you're unaccustomed to simple living. I thought of my penthouse overlooking Central Park, the Maui Villa, the private island I'd quietly purchased last summer, all hidden behind shell corporations and discreet ownership structures. The garage will be fine, I said calmly, carving neat slices of turkey. It's probably nicer than what most of my community college students have. Olivia's grin widened. She relished any reminder of my supposed mediocrity. That's the spirit, she chirped, her diamond bracelet flashing as she lifted her wine. At least you know your place. After dinner, she escorted me to the garage, a frigid concrete room despite the faint hum of a space heater in the corner. They'd shoved a battered military cot between my father's golf clubs and dusty boxes of Christmas decorations. At the foot of the bed lay a thin blanket, likely dragged from the depths of some forgotten closet. Dinner set for 7 p.m. tomorrow, Olivia announced, her voice carrying through the empty room. And please, try not to drag dirt inside when you come in. When the door clicked shut behind her, I reached for my phone. 3 urgent messages from the board demanded replies before tomorrow's meeting. The very same meeting where Olivia's boss would deliver his quarterly update, completely unaware that his bonus rested entirely on my approval. A faint smile tugged at my lips as I typed. Olivia had no clue that her flawless boss, Mr. Townsend, had spent the last month scrambling to arrange a private meeting with the hidden CEO of Summit Enterprises, the parent company that had quietly absorbed their firm the year before. My phone buzzed. A text from my assistant. Mr. Townsend asked again about meeting you before tomorrow's board session. Should I tell him you're still unavailable? No, I replied. Let him believe I'm in London. It'll make dinner that much more interesting. I swapped into clean clothes, slipping a designer blouse beneath a plain sweater. The garage was icy, but I'd endured worse in the early days of building my empire. While Olivia climbed rungs on the corporate ladder, celebrating each minor promotion, I had been quietly acquiring businesses, reshaping industries, and constructing something beyond anything our family could fathom. At exactly 7 p.m. the next evening, I stepped into the dining room and took my place at the far end of the table, deliberately distanced from the important guests. Olivia sat proudly near the head, beside Mr. Townsend and his wife, laughing at one of his remarks. Catherine, Dad called. Olivia was I accepted The merger with Summit opened endless doors for capable people like Olivia. The merger, Mom sighed contentedly. We were worried when Summit bought the company, but it's been such a blessing. Though no one really seems to know anything about Summit's CEO. Quite mysterious, don't you think? Olivia leaned in, eager to sound informed. Apparently, she's some reclusive billionaire who never shows her face. Rumor says she lives in London, or maybe Tokyo. No one at our level has ever actually met her. I lifted my glass of wine to mask a smile. If only they realized that the elusive CEO they were whispering about was sitting quietly at the far end of their table, sleeping in their garage. I've heard she's brilliant, Mr. Townsend added. Turned around at least a dozen companies in the past 5 years. Built Summit from the ground up. Well, Olivia scoffed. She can't be that impressive if she hides from everyone. Probably just another spoiled trust fund kid who got lucky. Just then, Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed. He checked it, his expression tightening. Excuse me, I need to take this. He slipped into the hallway, but his words carried back clearly. Yes, I have those reports ready for tomorrow's board meeting. No, I haven't managed to reach Mrs. CEO yet. Yes, I understand she's still in London. He returned looking unsettled, his earlier swagger gone. Olivia, desperate to shine, launched straight into another story about her latest triumph. I just overhauled our entire operations department, she bragged, slicing her turkey neatly. Saved the company millions. Beneath the table, I pulled up the actual report on my phone. The truth was stark. Olivia's restructuring had bled nearly $3 million in inefficiencies. I'd been monitoring the decline for weeks, waiting for the perfect moment to bring it to light. As CEO, every major shift landed on my desk, especially those led by executives like my sister. More wine, Catherine? Mom asked, her voice light, but with that edge that told me she'd rather I sit myself into silence and let Olivia bask in her spotlight. Maybe stick to water, though, considering your money troubles, Olivia chimed in with a laugh. Yes, she added mockingly, community college instructors really should keep an eye on their budgets. Just then, Mr. Townsend's phone buzzed again. The moment he glanced at the screen, his face drained completely. I need to make a quick call. Urgent matter. He shot out of his chair, already dialing, his voice dropping into a desperate tone. Please, just 5 minutes with Mrs. CEO. Tomorrow's board meeting. It's critical. Exactly as planned. I'd had my assistant send him a string of escalating, urgent messages about tomorrow's meeting. Petty? Maybe. But after years of Olivia strutting around, flaunting her power over me, I figured I'd earned the right to a little dramatic payback. Speaking of business, Uncle James broke in cheerfully. Did you hear about Summit's newest move? They just swallowed up Richardson Global, $12 billion deal. Olivia's posture sharpened instantly. You're kidding. That's one of our fiercest rivals. A hostile takeover, Aunt Margaret added with relish. Richardson never saw it coming. This new CEO, she's merciless. I thought back to those nights of endless planning, the meticulous shifting of assets like chess pieces. Merciless wasn't how I'd put it. Focused, maybe relentless, yes. When Mr. Townsend returned, he looked ready to collapse. Mrs. CEO has called an emergency pre-board session tomorrow, 7 a.m. sharp. All department heads required. Olivia, bring the restructuring files. Olivia's fork slipped, clattering against her plate. What? But tomorrow's Christmas. She doesn't care, he said, voice flat. She wants every recent operational change reviewed. Olivia, your reports especially. That was my cue. I cleared my throat softly. Mr. Townsend. He blinked at me, clearly startled to hear my voice from the far end of the table. Yes, the meeting is actually set for 8, not 7. And Olivia won't need her reports. I've already gone over them. The dining room fell into stunned silence. Olivia gave a shaky laugh. What are you even talking about? You don't work for Summit. I rose slowly, brushing down my plain sweater. Actually, I do. In fact, I am Summit. My gaze shifted to Mr. Townsend. Those reports you've been scrambling to deliver? I received them last week. We'll need to revisit the Q4 numbers. They're off by roughly 30 million. His jaw opened and shut helplessly, like a fish gasping for air. You're Catherine Wilson, CEO of Summit Enterprises. Yes, I smiled, savoring the way Olivia's face went pale as paper. Though most just call me Mrs. CEO. The wine glass slipped from Mom's hand, dark red spreading across the white tablecloth. No one made a move to blot it. This is a joke, Olivia whispered. It has to be. I lifted my phone and cast my company credentials across the wall. My photo, my name, my title, my company. No joke, Liv. While you were busy climbing someone else's ladder, I was busy building the skyscraper. But you're a teacher, Mom stammered. I teach one class a semester at the community college, I corrected smoothly. Because I believe in education and in giving back. The rest of my days are spent managing one of the largest private equity firms on the planet. Olivia shoved her chair back, the legs screeching against the floor. That's impossible. You live in a shoebox apartment. You drive a Honda. I actually own the building that shoebox apartment sits in, I replied evenly. And the Honda? It's better for the environment. Unlike your Mercedes, which, by the way, you really shouldn't have charged to the company card. Across the table, Dr. Townsend sank into his seat, no doubt recalling every smug remark he'd ever made about the elusive CEO in board meetings. The garage, he muttered. We made you sleep in the garage. Yes, I answered quietly. You did. None of you ever cared to look past appearances. You judged without knowing. I turned toward Olivia. Remember last month when you refused Sarah in accounting time off for her son's surgery? Olivia gave a stiff nod. I approved her leave myself, and I arranged for the country's top specialist, because that's what leaders do. They look after their people. My father finally found his voice. Why didn't you tell us? Would it have mattered? I asked, locking eyes with him. Would you have treated me differently if I had measured up to your definition of success? This family equates worth with designer labels and swollen bank accounts. I wanted to build something real. I turned back to Dr. Townsend. The board meeting tomorrow will move forward as planned. We'll be reviewing the operational missteps that cost us $3 million, among other issues. My gaze slid to Olivia. I suggest everyone arrives ready. You're going to fire me, Olivia whispered. No, I said, gathering my things. I'm going to do what I should have years ago. Hold you accountable. Success isn't about flashy titles or corner offices. It's about integrity, innovation, and results. I walked toward the garage to grab my bag, the sound of chaos swelling behind me. Mom's frantic protests. Olivia's desperate excuses. Townsend already dialing numbers. At the doorway, I paused. One more thing. I won't be staying in the garage tonight. I have a suite at the Four Seasons, which I happen to own. Merry Christmas. Driving off in my eco-friendly Honda, my phone buzzed nonstop with apologies, justifications, and attempts to rewrite the past. I ignored every single one. The next morning, I sat at the head of the boardroom table at Summit headquarters, watching Olivia and Townsend shuffle in with the rest of the executives. My sister's usual smugness had vanished, replaced by something that resembled respect. Before we begin, I said, I want to address company culture, how we treat people regardless of their title or appearance. Because true success isn't just about profit. It's about character. Olivia avoided my eyes, but scribbled notes for the first time in her career. Sometimes, revenge isn't about striking back. It's proving their judgment of you never carried weight. While they were busy looking down on me, I was building an empire. And next Christmas, I'll be hosting it at my place. All 15,000 square feet of it. Let them take the garage.